Sammy Singleton and the 13th Floor. Sammy Singleton was no ordinary security guard. For one thing, he was very, very scary, but not in the way you might think. Sammy wasn't scary to others. He was scary to himself. Sammy was afraid of his own shadow, and he jumped at the slightest noise. This made people wonder why on earth he'd chosen to be a security guard. Even Sammy wasn't so sure sometimes. But there was one thing Sammy loved: playing his guitar. When he wasn't on duty, he spent hours strumming tunes in his tiny apartment, dreaming of a day when he'd be brave enough to play in front of others. One evening, Sammy got a new post at the Capital City Center, a towering building in the middle of downtown Capital City. His job was simple: sit at the lobby desk, check in guests after hours, and make sure everything stayed safe and sound. But Sammy had heard the rumors. They said the building was cursed. Long ago, before it became a skyscraper, the site had been home to a grand old music hall. And in that music hall danced Helen, an enchantress who loved music more than anything. When the music hall was torn down to make way for the Capital City Center, Helen cast a curse on the building before disappearing forever. Sammy had been warned, never go to the 13th floor. Strange things happened there. People heard eerie music, felt sudden chills, and even saw flickering shadows. For a while, Sammy stayed far away, but one quiet night, curiosity got the better of him. Clutching his flashlight tightly, he stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the 13th floor. Ding! The doors slid open, and Sammy stepped out. The air was colder up here, and his breath puffed out in white clouds. He could hear faint music, soft, haunting notes that sent shivers down his spine. As he crept down the hallway, the music grew louder. Suddenly, he panicked. He dashed back to the elevator, jabbing the button until the doors finally opened. Sammy didn't stop running until he was back in the lobby, trembling in his chair. The next night, Sammy tried to stay at his post, but the memory of that strange music tugged at his mind. Against his better judgment, he found himself back on the 13th floor. This time he saw her. Helen, the enchantress, was dancing gracefully down the hallway, just as she had in the music hall all those years ago. Her ghostly figure glowed, and her eyes sparkled like distant stars.
You must leave.
Sammy stammered, his voice shaky. But Helen only turned to him with a sad smile before vanishing through the wall. Terrified, Sammy bolted back to the lobby and hid under his desk. He wanted to quit, but something inside him wouldn't let him give up. The next day, Sammy asked Chad, the daytime security guard, about the 13th floor.
Oh, you must have met Helen,
Chad said casually.
Helen?
Sammy asked, his voice barely above a whisper.
Yeah, Helen the enchantress of the downtown music hall.
Chad explained.
She loved that old place, but when they tore it down, she cursed this building. Now she's stuck here, poor thing.
That gave Sammy an idea. Maybe he couldn't scare Helen away, but what if he could make peace with her? The following night, Sammy brought his guitar to work. He rode the elevator to the 13th floor, his hands shaking as he strummed a simple bluegrass tune. The music echoed through the empty hallway. Soon, Helen appeared, her ghostly figure spinning and twirling to the music. She looked happier than ever.
Thank you.
She whispered, her voice soft as the wind.
The curse I placed on this building trapped me here, but your music has set me free.
A brilliant light surrounded Helen, and she began to rise into the air. Before she disappeared, she smiled at Sammy and said,
You have a kind heart. Be brave, Sammy Singleton.
As Helen floated away, Sammy felt something change inside him. For the first time, he wasn't scared anymore. From that night on, Sammy wasn't just a security guard. He was the security guard. Brave, confident, and ready to face anything that came his way. And every once in a while, he'd bring his guitar to work and play a tune, just in case someone was listening. The end.
Sammy Singleton stood guard at night. 13th floor gave him a fright. Capital city shadows played, saying, Sammy, come on and stay. Lights would flicker, whispers creep, guards heart racing, barely asleep. Helen's ghost with eyes so green said there's more than what you see. In haunted halls where floors do well, Sammy heard her desperate tale. Said, I'm trapped in this dark lore, your music key to open the door.
Strings strung rough and pipes did moan, Sammy felt it deep in bones.
Melody from heart unleashed, Helen's spirit was released. Witch's curse began to fade, guards heart racing, barely asleep. Haunts heart racing, bury with you, God knew what you see. In haunted halls where floors do well, Sammy heard her desperate tale. Said, I'm trapped in this dark lore, your music key to open a door. In haunted halls where floors do well, Sammy heard her desperate tale. Said, I'm trapped in this dark lore, your music key to open the door.